Hi there. I'm Shana Nerl, and I am helping people to step into their power, end food addiction, and manifest radiant health. And let's just talk about one of the things that is a basic block to the healing and the change that we are all seeking. And this really applies to so many other situations besides for food addiction. It's what is it that's really happening in people's lives where they are basically spending so much of their day acting unconsciously. And this is really connected to whatever somebody's habit is. They therefore slip into that habit frequently. And so with food, it's sort of like as a person wakes up a little bit and realizes all of a sudden what just happened. How did I just get sucked into this again? And then all of the negative self-talk and blame starts going around, and all these negative loops in the mind. And then, of course, all the other changes to one's mood, and it's really affecting from this one little unconscious act. It just ripples out and affects one's whole day and one's whole life. And so what is it really underneath this? How can we begin to start a radical shift? Because change is totally possible. And I just want to suggest for those of you who are feeling powerless, who are feeling gripped by whatever habit it is, for the people who come to me who have health issues, what I see so many times is that they suffer from their health issues for way too long because they're not able to get out of their food habits. They're not able to shift towards what foods they need to allow their body to begin to heal, and the mental states that go along with their food habits are just really part of the physical symptoms that they're having. And so here is what I wanted to bring up when I say mental states. So we need to start looking at what's going on the inside. We don't, there's not very much, it's not so helpful to focus on the outside. When someone is having eating problems, food addiction, and all they're focusing on is that it's a problem and they can't control their food and they just keep slipping into this habit, and it just reinforces the problem, and all they're thinking about is food and what are they going to eat and how are they going to stay away, or it's just trying to control the food. And this obsession with the food is keeping a person fixed on the external reality and fixed on the problem. And what really needs to happen is we first of all have to shift our focus, because where the focus goes, the energy flows. Okay, remember that. Where the focus goes, the energy flows. So if a person is focusing on food all the time, if they're focusing on the fact that they want to get out of their food addiction, they're still focusing on food addiction. They are reinforcing all of that. So we have to start by changing our focus. And there's many ways to do this. We can just shift to thinking about something else, to thinking about positive things, about oneself. Like, these are definitely really helpful. But there's something before that that really needs to happen, that a person needs to realize. And that is the shifting of the focus inward. What's going on inside? We tend to not want to feel what's going on inside, right? And so we focus on whatever's on the outside, and we focus on something that we think that we can control because we don't feel that we can control what's going on the inside. It's feeling too scary for us. So I want to tell you, first of all, that what's going on the inside is actually something that one can learn to control, but the only way that a person can learn to control what's going on the inside is if they first allow themselves to focus on it. And too many people grow up in ways where they don't feel safe to focus on the inside. They don't have the tools. It's too scary. And so we're running away from ourselves by going to the food or whatever the habits are that we've learned to escape ourselves. And these are just habits. And actually, after we've done this over again and over again, it becomes automatic. We don't even do it with intention anymore. We just are constantly, automatically going to food or going to these things, and that's why all of a sudden we're like, what happened? How did I even get here? Okay, it's on automatic. So how do we shift to focusing on what's important, which is the beginning of our healing, focusing on the inside? You know, I tell people who I'm helping and guiding through really breaking free of their food issues and their food addiction, I tell them that the sign that you're making progress is not to look at how your food's doing. Don't look at, you know, what good changes you made and good choices. Of course, at some point, that's great. You can celebrate those things. But the sign of the real progress in the beginning, especially, is what changes are going on the inside. Are you starting to feel different on the inside? Because if you're starting to feel different on the inside, then you are going to start seeing changes on the outside. And the techniques that I teach to change the habits and behaviors work easy and quick when we're changing to the place that is balanced and healthy, doing that healing on the inside. Now, here's the part that is wild, that a lot of people don't think can happen, is that this inside healing part is not something that requires digging and therapy and just really, it's like people are afraid to like have to be so caught and in this inner turmoil. And what I want to say is that it's not necessary to have to get caught in all the issues that you've accumulated your whole life. So what I want to suggest instead of that is a person can start by becoming an observer of their inner state. A person usually starts by just watching their thoughts. And by watching one's thoughts, they start to slowly begin to realize that they are not their thoughts. When we don't have any consciousness, again, when we're walking around unconscious, we are completely 100% identified with our thoughts. Whatever we think is who we are. So by observing the mind, we develop a position of the observer, and our observer starts to realize that we are not these thoughts. We are actually something else. All of a sudden, we start to have agency. We start to realize and that we don't have to be controlled by our thoughts. And this is where the real transformation begins. For somebody who's really willing to just take responsibility for their life, if they're feeling powerless but they want to change, it starts with actually, when we say taking responsibility, that's not specific enough. What is it that we're really taking responsibility for? We take responsibility for our inner state. Yes, we take responsibility for changing things on the outside, but it starts before we can even change how we act. We start by recognizing that we can change how we think and we can change how we feel. However, that usually is not attainable unless somebody starts to be able to watch their thoughts and create some space so that this place of being totally identified, there starts to be a gap. And all of a sudden, we see that we are not these thoughts. And that's when we start to change our mindset, we change our attitude, and we change our personality. When changing our mindset and our attitude becomes we can develop literally a new habitual way of thinking that is aligned with our vision, aligned with our highest self. And this becomes a habit, and we change our personality, and our behaviors either change on their own. I see this happening. Or we then implement very simple techniques to rewire our brain and change our habit. But in order for these techniques to work, we have to want to change, realize that we have to take responsibility for our inner state. And then we use the techniques that very simply just give us a roadmap to slowly or quickly beginning to change our inner state, where then all of a sudden we are not controlled by our mind, and we're not controlled by our thoughts, causing us to act unconsciously for most of our day. So again, if you want to embark on this journey, I really suggest that you just start every day taking a few minutes to watch your mind and start to notice how you feel. Again, being totally identified how you feel is totally taking you over and causing you to act out in whatever way you're triggered. This does not have to continue. And so as you begin to do this, you're going to learn to feel safe, to feel what you're feeling. And then you're going to learn when that is necessary to be able to just deeply go into a feeling without feeling that it's threatening you in any way. And then you're also going to learn that actually so many of the times that you're having a feeling that's taking you over, you actually don't need to go into it. It's just part of your habit. And then you're going to begin to learn how to just quickly shift how you feel. And this is what it means to step into your power. This is what it means to take responsibility for your life. Start by taking responsibility for your thoughts. And to do that, just start by observing your thoughts for a few minutes every day. So that's it for now. And just as you begin this, just please keep remembering, it's about the inner changes. If you feel you're changing on the inside, then you can really know that the changes on the outside are either happening or very soon about to happen. So if anybody would like to just speak about what's holding you back in terms of food addiction, incessant thoughts about food, if you want to be free of this and really move to a whole new way of being, I'm available to speak to anyone who'd like to sign up for a free call. I'll put the link at the bottom. I help people to just get clear about what they really want and what's standing in the way, and then give people a clear framework for how to get there. So have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.